Hey, AfterBuzzers, welcome to an all-new Twin Peaks after show here at AfterBuzz TV. Tonight, we're going to be breaking down Season 3, Part 6. We have a lot to say, so stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hello again, you awesome AfterBuzzers. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's recap of Twin Peaks. I'm your host, Sam Davidson. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at SamD43. I have my awesome panel here as always. Let's start with you, Lex.
I am Lex Michael. I am thrilled for the official soundtrack release, which is in September, I believe, and I am all over social media at the Lex Michael.
And I am Michael X Shirley, which you can find me on Instagram and Twitter.
Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Lisa Mason Lee, and you can find me everywhere at Lisa Mason Lee.
And of course, guys, don't forget to follow AfterBuzz TV at AfterBuzz TV on all social media platforms. Lisa is in the live chat. Tonight's episode completely just blew my mind on many levels. What did you guys think?
Well, I'd like to say that in the chat, the minds are blown too. We've got a lot of action happening in here, lots of opinions, lots of thoughts, so everyone's really excited. So thanks for watching and hanging out.
Hey everybody. 18 hours. So this was hour 6. So we are a full third of the way through, and it really does feel like we are making a pivot out of our first act and into the second act. And there are a couple of big things that happen that I think will only continue to be of great significance in the episodes to come that I'm really excited to talk about. But yeah, this really does feel like we're out of Act 1 into Act 2 now.
Yes.
I don't know.
Where are we?
I don't know. I feel like we're just kind of everywhere, and I'm just trying to put the pieces together.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of hard, but he is, like our time's greatest surrealist director, so
Yes.
not always going to be able to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, so on that note, give us a little leeway, guys. We're trying our best to figure this out for all of you. So let's start with the whole, I'm just going to call him Dougie. He's Dougie now. I keep on writing Dougie Dale. It's Dougie. It's Dougie for all intents and purposes. We have a really fun scene at the beginning. We left him at the statue.
Still
which
there.
has significance, we know, in some way, shape, or form. And the security guard, it was a really funny scene. As sad as this episode was, there were a lot of fun moments in there. I think that was one of them.
Yes.
And he gets taken home, to his wife, Janie E., and it's just so bizarre that she's used to this from Dougie in some way. No one's that surprised he's acting like this.
We'll get to it a little bit later, but there's a scene with his boss at his job where finally somebody goes, "You may need professional help," and I was like, "Thank you."
Right.
Yes, it's very bizarre. But one thing I really did like from the scene after they brought him back home is with Sonny Jim.
Yes.
I like that he had a clapper.
Yeah, me too. I didn't know they still sold those. That was awesome. And, we see that Sonny Jim, at first I thought Sonny Jim knew there was something really wrong with his father. But this episode, I'm kind of thinking, maybe he doesn't know as much as I think he knows. I'm giving a lot of, credit to Sonny Jim.
I feel like at most, from what we saw, Sonny Jim clearly is like, "Oh, Dad's being silly. Ha ha, Dad." But he doesn't seem concerned, certainly.
No one is concerned, and that is concerning. That is very concerning.
I don't think they're real people. I don't think any of them are real people.
They're like people from an atomic testing.
They live
housing zone.
Like a
Seriously.
prefab life and a prefab house. It's like a prefab existence.
Yeah, because, there was talk and theories online that Dougie was essentially just created out of nowhere.
Right.
And that seems like his life in general and everyone involved in his life might have also been created out of nowhere.
I would say we know Dougie's a doppelganger, right? And we were talking, I think, last week about how if there was no real person that existed where Dougie now exists, or Dale Dougie now exists, then what does that mean as far as Sonny Jim? Is he an actual kid? Is he part human child? Is he part whatever it is these Black Lodge doppelgangers are? And if that's the case, even if he could ostensibly live a fairly normal life, it would make sense that he is tied into it or connected to it in a way where it would faze him less than everybody else. But it also seems like it's not really phasing everybody else all that much.
Yeah, especially his wife, who, I love and hate Janie. She is definitely fun to watch. Naomi Watts is very fun to watch in this character. But we also see a callback to the first episode or second episode with Jade. Was it Jade?
Yes.
Yeah, the prostitute.
Jade give 2 rides.
Yes, and she.
I
goes,
bet
"Oh."
she does. It's like, oh, whoa.
Yeah, that was amazing. He owes more people money. She's gonna take care of it. We'll get into that in a little bit. But then we see. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
There was that thing I want to bring up about the whole Camelot theory that we've got going on.
Yes.
So, as we had stated in one of our previous after shows, that Glastonbury Grove is where the Black Lodge is. It's also where King Arthur.
Yeah, Glastonbury, England. Yep.
Yeah. And Ethan Suplee and Sarah Paxton in the episode where they're in the casino, he says, "You live, on Lancelot Court off Merlin's Market." Tonight, when Janie E got the phone call, she said she's going to meet them at Merlin's Market in Guinevere. There's something going on with this King Arthur stuff, and I am trying to figure it out, but I'm not really sure.
Far too consistent to be nothing. But
No, it's so obvious.
It's a question though
Yeah.
of like, is this actually going to pay off, or is it just a fun a thing that a little line we can follow that doesn't necessarily have a pot of gold at the end of it, or will this somehow pay off?
Well, that would suck.
I would think not. Why would they put so much effort into it if it's not really going somewhere? I don't
Yeah,
know.
I agree, and I'm really glad that you brought it up when we were watching it. We paused it and talked about it, and there's definitely something going on there. We also see Dougie / Dale have the vision of Mike, and Mike is screaming, "Don't die, don't die."
You need to wake up. Don't
Yeah.
die.
Why do they always see him in the carpet? Like he's always like looking down like in a corner.
I feel like
room.
Mike needs a little bit of a canvas, right? Because he always sees him where like there's set dressing there, but in this case, right, there was that big blank carpet space. So maybe it's a little bit like you need like a phantom projector needs a screen so that we can see him
Also, kind
on
of
it.
reminds me of when Maddie had the vision right before she died, and she saw like this weird thing in the carpet, and she
Yes.
just started freaking out. Like I don't know.
I think she saw like the blood on the carpet, right?
It was like to me it didn't look like blood. It just looked like it was a darkened area. But I don't know. I feel like there's something about the carpet.
You guys,
like
carpet-
they're always having visions in the carpet.
Carpet is full of secrets, right?
Carpet is full of secrets.
Definitely is. So, I know this episode is going to be one we're going to look back on. I'll probably
Yeah.
watch it about 3 times, maybe more, because there were so many hidden clues every which way. And this scene, I wrote down a bunch of nonsense, like that I just, literally none of it makes sense, but I'm like, clue here, there's all these things going on. So I hope that we do get back to what he meant in that. I'm sure that we will, what Mike meant in that.
Well, he said earlier, a couple episodes ago, I think the last time that Dougie Coop saw him, he said, "You've been tricked. Now one of you must die." And so I took that to mean either he or the Dark Dale doppelganger that's currently sitting in prison messing around with their phones and electricity, one of them has to go. So maybe it's a warning that like, you got to wake up, because if this guy gets to you before you can get to him, you're gone, and he wins. That's how I took that.
But how do you wake up?
Yeah, who knows?
Like, can't they help him out a little bit? He's clearly like got no clue.
Yeah, he's struggling hard.
Yeah.
The struggle is real for Dale / Dougie.
And I will say, as much as now we're at hour 6, as much as I so badly want our Dale Cooper back, I said out loud, I'm sitting there watching this episode tonight, and I said out loud, all right, so I always was a big fan of Kyle MacLachlan, but as it turns out, the dude is straight up a genius.
I hope he gets an Emmy. I'm not kidding.
This is a
Yeah.
genius piece of performance, and I'm so powerfully excited to see where he gets to take whatever version of these characters he gets to continue to play on this show, because my goodness, this is next level impressive stuff.
And it's really funny. It's just fun. The small scenes and the nuances with him, I find it endlessly entertaining. So yeah, part of me doesn't want real Dale back.
Because you know what you're going to get with Dale.
Yeah, but
Super intelligent.
I do think he's gonna, see a picture or some kind of symbol or sign, and all of a sudden it's gonna be like, woo, I'm
Well,
back.
like my prediction was that he's gonna maybe possibly run into Diane and she's gonna help him remember things with the recordings. I could be way off.
Well,
I don't know.
Part of that prediction came true tonight.
Speaking of Diane,
Yeah.
we finally meet Diane, Laura Dern. This is who she's playing. We know it's a very pivotal part. She couldn't talk about it at all. We see her in a fabulously weird wig.
And this is why too. I was just before we went live. I was talking about how I got to stay off the Reddit now because they called this. They called this. Nobody knew. Nobody had any conclusive evidence to suggest that this was absolutely the case. That it was going to be Diane that Albert's going to find, and it would be Laura Dern. But there was reason to believe that this would make a lot of sense to play this exactly this way and to cast this actress. And of course, that turns out to be the case. Now there are a couple of other things that they've been speculating about, and now I'm just waiting for these things additionally to pan out. Now I'm going like, these guys are smart. I got to stay off of there because they're accidentally spoiling the whole thing for me.
I'm going to actually start going on there now that you mentioned that because I...
Effing Gene Kelly and the mother effing Rain.
Yes.
And I love this, like the angriest Singing in the Rain reference maybe that I've ever heard. And also, I watched it home, and I texted the group something, and Mike threw that line at me. And I was like, what is happening? Because I hadn't gotten there yet. I was like, what did I do? Why is everybody so mad at me?
I think I'm the one that threw it.
Oh,
Was it you?
Yeah.
It was
Somebody
okay,
threw that. That's why you were looking at me like, what?
Yeah, I'm like, what are you talking about?
Somebody threw that at me, and I was like, what did I do?
I know. I actually knew the line was going to have significance in the future, so I just... it was pretty awesome.
I have a question for Lex.
Yes.
Do you know anything about Loomis and Stockton? Loomis really sounded really familiar for me from Fire Walk With Me, and we saw that on the insurance forms that he was due.
I know of a couple of Loomises. When I hear Loomis, I think Halloween
Yeah.
immediately, and then I think Scream.
I think of Scream.
But no, not in terms of the Twin Peaks mythology. Nothing that's coming to mind.
Yeah, we
immediately.
were like really looking at those insurance forms and whose names were on them.
Well, again, I think those insurance forms were gold. They showed them for a reason. It was very specific. I think that there's just clues all over there, or they're just messing with me, and I'm going to be taking screenshots
Yeah,
of
we're
it.
going to go back and pause all night long.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
what do
I'm
you guys
really-
think of those drawings? I can't stop thinking
They
about it.
looked
What
like
did
the
everybody
box.
think? The stairs,
all of the different, so the little
line.
right, and he saw these little these little sparkly dots that seem to be guiding his hand towards where to put these symbols. And apparently, if you gave Mullins long enough, he was able to decipher something from them. But I was looking at these and going, this looks a little bit very loosely, almost like a depiction of what his journey was before he got
Yes.
out of the lodge.
Yeah, it looked like that scene with NATO when they
That's what it
climbed
reminded me
With
of.
the ladder,
Ladder,
and
for
then the
sure.
long plunge into this like black abyss. I was like, this is more or less what happened to him, but apparently in the world of the Lucky 7 insurance company, this is code for something big.
Yeah, it's code for something greater. Before we get into all of that, though, definitely want to talk about Richard Horn. I have a question mark
Oh
next to it.
my
Yes.
It's him. We
What
in the credits.
a dick.
And him, and we see. I believe this was Balthazar Getty again, right? Playing
Yeah,
this, playing
totally.
playing Red, and we saw him. I think at the end of the second episode,
Yep.
he was standing in
Creeping
front of the
the bang
bar.
bang.
Also, one thing that I kept meaning to bring up from our first show on that we haven't touched on, I think, is behind him at that bar was Walter Olkowitz, who played Jacques on the original series, playing a character credited as Jeanmichel Renault. So apparently there is another Renault family member that still works at the Roadhouse. But yeah, so we see Red back. We get one of my favorite extras that I've ever seen in anything is this guy standing behind Red, the big guy behind Red, with the gun that's almost as big as he is, just smiling.
Sam laughed at him, and I was like, what?
This massive grin the entire scene as Red torments Richard.
Oh my God. So you guys, that was the second AD on the show.
Really?
Playing that part.
No way.
Yes. Ime.
Very
Shout out to Ime
cool.
Itak.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because that was a fantastic bit of nonverbal character work. Like, I felt like I know now a lot about this guy from him standing in the background and smiling like that.
I thought he was frozen. I was like, are we watching something that's frozen?
So what the hell was wrong with him? Red is crazy. He's
Well, he said
really
he
intense.
had-
Are they all on drugs? Are they on like
Yes.
They're on
yes.
meth. Is it
And
meth?
he says he's got a problem with his liver,
And
too,
he-
that
yeah.
apparently makes his liver itch, is the way it looked
Yeah.
like he was behaving.
Right. So is he just like the big like kingpin drug dealer comes into town and Richard's like his little drug dealer?
He's also a
Is that-
magician.
What's going on?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
By the
So
way, yeah, he's a
all of a
magician.
sudden, all loose change in the town of Twin Peaks is magic,
Yeah, all the
as it turns
dogs
out.
are just rolling around.
Yeah, that's why we have it. You always wonder, why do we need change? This is exactly why we need change.
So you can materialize it in someone's
Yes.
mouth to
I
mess
mean,
with them.
I was trying to think of the significance of the dime. I I'm gonna throw that out there, just see if anyone Lex has any ideas. But
I mean, look, if there is a specific relevance to Twin Peaks mythology in particular, I might be able to go, yeah, but no, I'm as puzzled as you guys, I think.
Yes, that's amazing.
That
makes me feel great.
It's a beautiful equalizer. No, there's a lot in this episode where a lot that I could tie back into the greater mythology, and we'll get to some stuff where, once again, literally stood up from my seat while I was watching.
I figured you were.
But there are a few things where I went, all right, I just got to do my best to take this at face value because I don't really know.
Which is exactly, I think, how we're supposed to feel, especially at this point. We see that entire crazy scene with the dime, and it goes from his hand to his mouth, back to his hand. And Richard Horn, first of all, looks like Audrey. I could definitely
he's got that
the
beauty mark.
resemblance.
Oh, we did.
I don't know
I
if
didn't
you
even notice
noticed.
that.
A lot of
It's
speculation.
got the same beauty mark.
The speculation that I'm now committing myself to avoiding from now on, but the speculation is maybe he is Audrey's son.
I think it has to be.
I'm getting pissed at this point. We just finished part 6, and there's no Audrey.
Yeah, I'm
Are you
missing
joking
her
me?
a
I
lot.
felt
the
like
heck?
we were gonna get her, didn't you? Weren't you feeling it? They have to give it to us next episode.
Got
Yeah,
to.
they really
have it.
They really
We
have,
have to have it.
Soon, we haven't seen. There are a handful of characters we still haven't seen that we
Yeah.
know are coming back. We still haven't seen Big Ed. We know Big Ed's around.
Saw him for a second, didn't we? Or
No,
was
we
that
haven't
in-
seen-
Well, that was probably for the trailer.
In one of the
For
trailers, there's that
trailer,
shot
yeah.
of him. Yeah, but we haven't seen Big Ed yet.
I haven't
And
seen Sarah Palmer.
we saw her for a second at her house.
And then the grocery store, or no? Is that?
We saw it at her house. The shot of the grocery store
That
is
was
from the trailer.
too.
Yeah.
And then we got that one shot of Nadine, but no more of Nadine either.
Oh, I loved that.
Yeah, no more of Nadine. Hopefully we'll get a lot more people. And it also makes me think, all of these famous people that were announced to be on the show that we've seen, Michael Cera, Amanda Seyfried, is this the only thing we're going to get of them? Was this a cameo?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I can't imagine that we won't see more of Amanda Seyfried. I feel like she's going to end up, just the way we treat her in the one episode we've seen her in, I feel like she's going to end up being a little bit more significant. The flip side, I'd be a little surprised if we see Wally Brando again, but I do feel like, and I mean this in the best way possible, I feel like a little Wally Brando goes a very long way. Not that I loved that scene. That was one of my favorite pieces of performance that I'm probably going to see for the next 2 years, but I can live off of that little bit of Wally Brando now for a long time.
Okay. I could too. I definitely could too. Okay, so I think I actually see something interesting in the chat. I'm just glancing at it right now. Let's see. It's Mark Flanagan.
I'm looking at the same thing.
Yeah, read what he said, Lisa.
He said the guy with the coin is Mrs. Tremont's grandson. He does magic. She tells Donna in season 2.
The little David Lynch looking boy who has the cream corn appear in his hands. That, and of course the easy way to tip that is if we see that white face mask thing at any point, then that's the show telling us that is true. There are probably other shorthand ways to do that, but if you see that mask again, that's proof positive.
Wait, so you guys think that Balthazar Getty is that little boy grown up?
Isn't that what you're saying?
I mean, whoever that is,
They're putting 2 and 2 together, and we're just kind
It
of
does kind of make
speculating.
sense.
yeah, it does make sense. I'm just going to let you guys simmer on that for a while. I thought that was a really, really interesting point. Want to very briefly bring up this short scene that we had with Shelley. It seemed random, but it definitely had some significance to it.
We saw Heidi
Yes,
again.
that's her name. I was like,
Yeah.
a lady that laughs a
She's-
lot, remember?
Oh,
like
that's
once you start working there, you don't leave.
Yeah,
Like
you're just there
every single
forever.
person still working there.
And the woman that was ordering all of the pie,
Yes.
we see her in another part, which I'm going to get into right now. So Richard Horn driving. We meet this guy Karl.
Karl.
Yes.
I'm always so happy every time I see Harry Dean Stanton
Me
in
too.
anything. The dude is a national treasure. But to see Karl back from Fire Walk with Me is so exciting. And the establishing shot is the new Fat Trout Trailer Park.
Yeah.
Because the trailer park in Fire Walk with Me was located in the town of Deer Meadow, which it seemed to be a few towns over from Twin Peaks, at least, close enough that you could find Teresa Banks' body, and it was close enough that the investigation would lead you into that next town. But yeah, Deer Meadow was that weird where everything seemed to be like a dark mirror of Twin Peaks. Everybody was surly and unpleasant, and Karl still ran that trailer park where we had one of those phone poles that had the number 7 on it. Where we got those shots again
it's the
from
number
Fire Walk With
6.
Me. Yes,
But
we
it
got the
was
number 6
6.
pole, and we got the same slow pan up to the circuitry on the phone pole.
Right.
But it's
Yeah.
nice to see Karl still around. It is nice to see that he's still running a version of the Fat Trout Trailer Park, which is the new version, which seems to be is now close enough to Twin Peaks that, per the conversation in the van, every day the same time Karl goes into town, and into town is Twin Peaks. Close enough where if he's going to get coffee, he's got that double R to-go cup. Now, there's something we're going to get into the scene, but what is great, if you've read the book, Secret History of Twin Peaks, there was an allusion to when Karl was younger, when he was a kid, a third person whose identity I don't remember, and the log lady, Margaret Lanterman, at the time, her name was Margaret Coulson, they named her after Catherine Coulson, the actress, but when they were younger, they may or may not have been abducted by aliens together.
Aliens. I'm telling you guys. Aliens.
They do get into aliens in history.
So it makes a ton of sense, as we saw now start to play out in this episode, it makes a ton of sense that if they had a similar formative experience and the log lady is a seer, it makes a certain amount of sense that Karl might be able to see as well.
Well, he should have warned someone about that car.
It was so upsetting. I was very upset. I was not prepared for this.
Yeah,
you
you were freaking out, and I had to tell you, this is not real.
I cried. I was not ready to cry tonight.
Yeah, you were in the bathroom when we got here, Michael, but Lisa goes, "Oh my God." And I go, "I know. We just knew it, us
was
as women."
horrific.
It was very upsetting.
Yeah.
Michael needed to remind me that he's not a real child. So we see, I'm just going to call him Dick because he's such a dick.
Yeah.
He's driving. We know someone's going to get hit. And we think it's going to be Karl.
I was
yeah,
really
yeah. I was thinking it
afraid
was
that
gonna
we were
happen.
going to swerve away from the boy and something was going to happen to Karl. And maybe this makes me a monster, but I would have been more sad if it was Karl.
No, I don't ever want to. I hate seeing that so much, what we saw. And in a way, I'm not sure if it was because I was uncomfortable and sad watching it, but there was something awkwardly comical.
Yes.
I hate saying
It's
that.
kind of like that when the very first Final Destination movie when the girl walks out and she's yelling at her boyfriend and then the bus
Yeah.
just comes and piles her
Right.
down and you don't even see it coming and you're just like, yeah, it just totally changed, the screen just almost.
Yeah.
Something else that
Yeah.
we were talking about right before we went live was much like the car exploding, Dougie's car exploding in last week's episode, the way they executed and cut around the effect is almost comical. In a way that, I found myself laughing. And then you get all of these bystanders reacting. And the range of reactions, in a way that actually did feel real. Not everybody was devastated, falling apart. There was a range of reactions. People who were really feeling the impact of it, that were devastated by the sight of it. And there was one extra who was in the back of a shot that just looked like, And I was like, this is ridiculous. It's silly. It feels heightened. But that's probably what a crowd of bystanders in this situation would be doing.
But no one goes up to the mother except for Karl.
Except Karl.
And I don't know what he has going on in his head, what he's communicating with this woman by just being there with her, or if he's just being a good person, and we're looking far too into this.
I think at first he was just being a good person, but then he sees this
spirit or
light.
something.
What I took to be the best I can figure immediately without further information is, did Karl see this little boy's soul?
That's what it
essentially
looked like to
leaving
me.
his body.
Spirit.
Yeah.
What did you say you saw online that someone said, Lisa, I think you said, is it his Garmin Bozia? And someone goes, no, he's too young for that.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah, he's too young to be tainted by that. But it was a really awful scene. I don't think any TV show or movie likes portraying seeing a child be completely brutally killed in front of your eyes. So I do think there is going to be a significance and a callback to this.
There's a scene in Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 1 where they seem to get a real kick out of it. But you're right. In general, no. It's very tragic, and it's very... It seemed like if Karl wasn't aware before that he was a seer, because we don't know. We don't know based on what's in Fire Walk With Me if he's necessarily in touch with this ability, but it seems like this was a powerful enough experience that if he wasn't aware before, this maybe switched him on. And if he had been aware of it in the past, his reaction, I thought, again, I've only watched this episode once, but his reaction said to me, this is either something he's never experienced or it's been a good long while.
Yeah. I just want to clarify with everyone, we don't think it was funny that the boy got killed. We are very upset by it, but it was the way that the scene was created that
It's
kind of brought
soap
something
opera.
visceral.
It's intentionally tragic comic, you could call it.
Yes, and it's something that's so insane that we don't see a lot that you're almost laughing because you go,
Even
whoa.
by the way that they got there, they were like playing tag like all the way into the street, and I looked at you. I said, "That's an interesting way of getting around town."
But you talk about that. There was something which we'll get to pretty soon, which is horrifying in this episode that might literally be the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Okay, well, next, really briefly, we see the Crackhead Mom and
119.
Yes,
119.
the 119.
Yes, and the coroner and the police have showed up, and they're grabbing the pieces of Dougie's exploded car. They find a plate on the roof.
Plates on the roof. I loved that. Again, something's gonna, we're gonna figure out what this lady is about. We don't have enough time to get into it, but guys, we will in the future. Okay, so then what are we gonna call this? The assassin. The
little assassin.
The little assassin. That's
Yeah.
what we
This is what I was referring to. This might, in
Yes.
fact, literally be the funniest thing I've ever seen.
So we see him with pictures, and one is of Dougie, the old Dougie, and the other one is of this brunette woman we don't know.
This was, and I think
Do
the
you know
music
her?
cue. The
Wasn't that
music cue.
The Blackberry chick.
Yes, the music cue, I think, was there to key us in. This
The
was
Argent-
the woman who was making the
Argent,
Argent
too.
call, who called that box
Yes.
in Buenos Aires.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
She's super nervous.
Michael and I were watching it, and I paused it. We're zooming in. I'm like, who is this person? But this makes a lot of sense now. Okay.
The
See, guys?
music helped me remember. I'm like, oh yeah, okay.
And we see the little assassin, attack Dougie's picture with a screwdriver, and then he puts it's just a shot.
Well, it's
glass
this
over his-
ice pick.
It's an
like
ice
a
pick.
big, like a custom ice pick. And I like, too, by the way, he got the envelope. We see Patrick Fischler's character again from the first couple of episodes in Vegas. And he sees this box, right? This red box shows up on his computer. And he goes to his safe, and he gets out this envelope with a black dot on it. And I don't know about you guys, but in my childhood, I was quite a fan of Muppet Treasure Island, where they made quite a to-do about the black spot and its relation to pirate mythology. The black spot in pirate lore, actual pirate lore, is like the mark of death. So I thought it was really interesting that this envelope had this black spot on it. It's clearly like, all right, this is shorthand for this is the death envelope. Once you give this envelope, this is these people are going to die message.
Yeah.
That red block on the screen, it like pulled me to like Dougie's house on Lancelot Court, pulled me to the Red Room. I don't know. I mean, it was really small detail, but
A
why
lot
they
of
chose
symbolism. And I'm just hoping they're not, wanting us to be so confused and all these guesses. It doesn't mean anything.
Speaking
nothing at
of
all.
symbolism, I don't know if any of you guys have noticed this, but we literally have the chevron of
That's creepy.
the Glastonbury Grove
That-
after.
That's
Yeah.
true. It's
Black Lodge.
it's off color. Can we do like an AfterBuzz logo
I know
that
we
is
need
red?
to we need to do a
Yeah.
new one.
Oh, that'd be actually cool. Lisa can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she knows how to do that stuff.
So
I know
okay.
Steph.
So this guy gets the envelope and he ice picks the photos, and then we get. I know I'm being hyperbolic, but I can't remember the last time I was this caught off guard watching anything. We get this sequence where at the office you hear a commotion from outside this woman's room, and then homeboy with the ice pick just runs in. And clearly this is not his first job. He's clearly a guy that people go to for this type
Yeah,
of work.
yeah, for
so,
sure.
but imagine, I'm going like, how does he do that every time? But imagine how caught off guard you would be if this guy, this small guy with an ice pick, was just running at you. I think you'd need a full 5 to 7 seconds just to assess what's even happening.
Yeah,
and by
yeah.
then he's on you, and we get this. It's super violent, this stabbing, and it's the funniest thing I think I've ever seen.
So violent that when he killed the second woman, the one that saw the first murder happen, the ice pick is bent.
Like in 2 places.
It's
yeah.
disgusting. I mean, ouch.
And he looks at it kind of like, ugh.
Yeah, like, damn, I messed my ice pick up. I'm gonna have to buy another one.
Yeah.
God. So we have no idea really who he is or why he's doing this.
He's
but,
crazy,
It's
though.
crazy and insanely entertaining and bizarre to watch.
And it does definitively now link whoever's trying to kill Dougie with whatever's going on in Buenos Aires, with, I think by extension then, with Philip Jeffries, and we know that Dale's doppelganger has been either talking to a version of Jeffries or under the impression that he's talking to Jeffries. So now finally, again, this is what I'm saying about how it feels like we're moving out of Act 1 into Act 2. We assumed, or I assumed, there had to be something connecting these seemingly disparate events, and now we're starting to move towards connecting them.
Yes, I do feel like this was a big connection episode for sure. We have Dougie at work. We, touched on it briefly before, but he gets called into the office. And again, these really funny scenes with him are just the best. And what are we calling the guy? An assistant? I want the coffee all the time.
That's, I believe that's Josh Fadem, isn't it?
What's exactly...
This doesn't really answer your
saw
question.
him-
I call him
I
Josh
saw
Fadem with the
what-
coffee.
what-
I
What's his
saw him in
job?
Atwater Village, by the way, yesterday. I almost rolled down the window. I'm like, hey, but he's just randomly.
You should have
Small town.
You should have kidnapped him and had him come to me, because that would have been fantastic. Well, whatever Dougie's doing though, recreating the ladder, all of this, and he ends up doing something right with his work homework and with his boss. And what do we think this is about though?
I straight up don't know, but there was that moment where he was able to call out last week that Tom Sizemore was lying about something to do with the report that they were discussing. So obviously, I have no clue what this code could possibly mean to Battle and Bud, but clearly he put something together, and it's like, this is very good work. Go, but I may need your help again in the future. So there's, I think, something, there is in any David Lynch story. I think beneath the veneer of normalcy at this company, there's probably something going on. People are doing some things behind the scenes maybe they shouldn't. And Dougie inadvertently has handed Battle and Bud some evidence to that effect through this code.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think he probably proved the fact that Sizemore was lying.
Yes.
I feel like that's what those things. I mean, obviously we don't have like any idea what that meant, but I think
Yeah.
it kind of goes along with like him hitting all those jackpots at the casino. Like I feel like everything is guiding him in like this
Exactly.
right direction.
He's getting some signs from wherever to push him in the right direction. Just want to briefly mention the really awesome scene, Janie E, with the guys that Dougie owes money to.
And one of them is Jeremy Davies.
Yep. It was such a... I did not like Janie E's character. I go, "Oh, I'm so sick of her, I hate her," until this scene.
Same.
Loved it.
I felt exactly the same way. It was like the way she chewed them out is like a way like a soccer mom is gonna like
Oh, yeah.
chew out.
It's
like,
not,
some
this
thugs.
isn't my final offer. This is my only offer.
But it's just funny how she got cheated on, but she's ready to defend Dougie right after.
Yeah.
Well, I
She's
think...
got all that money now.
Well, it's like
but still.
Well, it's like you got to protect now. We have this bit of money. It's like we want to protect that, but it's also, even if she decided, Dougie, I hate your guts, I never want to see you again. She's still got a son. I think that she wants to make sure is safe from potential reprisals.
Right?
I think
it's
they're
a
fake
mother's
people.
instinct.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about Hawk. We have this bathroom.
So this is when I stood up out my chair.
Okay.
Tom Cruise
You
style.
got an idea?
What the heck?
Well,
I think I know what happened here,
Okay.
and I'm not
Break it down.
positive, but I think I know what happened. So, first episode of this new series, Hawk gets a call from the log lady that says something is missing, and it has to do with Agent Cooper, and the way you're going to find it has something to do with your heritage. And a version of this line has been paraphrased and repeated a couple of times since, but I think the actual wording is significant. So Hawk drops a buffalo nickel in the bathroom, and he sees it. Hawk has always been very intuitive. He sees it lands in this other stall. He goes to pick it up, and he turns around, and he sees the label on the door, the
people who made
metal
the-
label. Nez Perce Manufacturing. Now, per the book, The Secret History of Twin Peaks, Hawk is a descendant of the Nez Perce Indian tribe, which existed in the region as far back as, in the opening section of the book, which I've talked about on this show, Lewis and Clark's expedition to discover that part of the country. The chief of the Nez Perce, Twisted Hair, gives them a number of artifacts, and most of them, they don't know how they were made, they certainly don't know what they're for, but one of the items that they are given by the chief of the Nez Perce is, in a small pouch, the Jade L Ring. So this tribe has been in the region for a very long time, and they are tied into the mythology. Hawk descends from them. He takes the back of the door off of this bathroom stall door and pulls out pages. Now, before I tell you guys what I think is happening here, I want to know what do you guys know? Did you guys key into anything there? Did it set off any alarms in anybody else's head? Anybody in the chat? Did you guys thoughts? Because I have some thoughts.
It set off a lot of alarms, but I didn't know what those alarms were for or why. You know, I just was like, this is interesting. This is important. I think that, I mean, again, the dime connection. It's because I know it's the coin. It all is connected. I think the dime has significance. I know
some people in the chat. Some people in the chat are onto it. So
go for it.
Here is my theory. If you look at those pages, they are pages that were torn out from somewhere with a script handwriting.
Oh, is this the diary?
I think these are pages from Laura's diary, and I think they're very significant pages from Laura's diary in that. If you remember, one of the only things David Lynch would say about this new series prior to it airing is that Fire Walk With Me was going to be very significant to the events that we see unfold. If you guys remember, there is a scene in Fire Walk With Me where a time-displaced Annie appears to Laura in her bed and says, "My name is Annie. I've been with Dale and Laura. The good Dale is in the lodge and he can't leave. Write it in your diary." I think these pages contain that information or something that will lead Hawk to that, because Hawk is the only person I think that's still in town for whom the lodges are of any great significance. He would know. He'd be the one person who would be able to take that information and not go, huh? But in fact, to interpret what that might mean and what then the next steps would have to be.
Yeah.
And it's something that was missing, those missing pages. They have to do with Agent Cooper if that information is in there, and the way he found them has something to do with his heritage.
Well, that's a pretty good explanation. We're going to kind of leave it up to you guys.
That's a theory, but that would make the most sense to me.
It's a good theory. I honestly wish we could break this down. It's not that we don't want to or we can't. We guys were running a little bit low on time.
Oh my God, it's almost over.
Yeah, we're basically almost done. So before we wrap up, I of course have to mention the scene at the end with Doris and Frank. We, see Doris again. She's upset. We learn that, their son committed suicide.
Yeah, poor Frank.
Yeah, so it's kind of explaining their relationship a little bit. It's giving us a slice of life into this specific storyline. So just want to bring that up because, again, I think it's going to be significant in the future. On that note, let's get into some very, very quick predictions.
For AfterBuzz TV prediction.
All right. Who wants to start, guys?
Not me.
Not me.
All right.
I feel like the last thing I just said was my big prediction. I mean, I hope we'll see how much more Diane we get, how soon. I have to assume at this point, since we're a full third of the way through the season and our Dale is not back, I have to assume that Diane might be instrumental in helping him wake up somehow. But I'm not sure, and it is so exciting that we're watching a show where I can watch this thing for 6 hours and I can speculate about certain elements, but I have no earthly idea where this story's going, and that so excites me.
Yes, that is the beauty of Twin Peaks. Okay, so my real only prediction is that we're going to get Audrey.
Yes.
Next week, hopefully. I can't wait. What about you guys?
See.
Oh, we forgot about Loggy. I'm calling him Loggy now. We're best friends.
I think that there is, I don't know if it's going to be Amanda Seyfried's character, but I feel like there's going to be another murder like the murder in the late 80s. And that's going to kind of pull all this together.
I love it. Love it. What about you, Lisa?
I think it's kind of obvious what I'm thinking, but I think Dick Horn has really got it coming for him, and I think that was like really great character development, the way they set it up.
And his name, something else I just remembered. His name is Richard, and we got a name drop to a Linda tonight in the van with Karl. He's talking to his friend, Linda. There was an allusion to maybe she served in combat and the government just got her a new chair. But so we have a Richard and we have a Linda. But in our original run of the show, we had a Spirit Mike and a Spirit Bob, and we also had a Mike and a Bobby that were not connected to them at all. So this could be significant. It could also be a red herring.
Guys, we are going to leave it up to you for the rest of the week. Tweet at us. Let us know your theories. We love hearing from you all the time. One more time from the fans out there, where can everyone find y'all on social media?
You can find me everywhere at Lisa Mason Lee.
You can find me at Michael X Shirley on Instagram and Twitter.
I am all over social media at the Lex Michael.
And you guys can find me, Sam Davidson, at SamD43 on Twitter and Instagram, and at SamDavidsonEntertainment.com. We will see you all next week. Thanks for tuning in.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Don't die.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.